Welcome to the Growth Lab, where business ambition meets motherhood. I'm Luba, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, speech-language pathologist, and founder of 2 clinics in sensory play gyms and a mobile therapy bus unit. Join me each week as we dive into what it takes to grow successful business, balance family, and create real impact. I'll share my hard-won insights and bring on inspiring entrepreneurs with stories you won't want to miss. Let's turn dreams into action, build with purpose, and thrive on our own terms. Welcome to the Growth Lab. Let's build, scale, and thrive together. Let's get this party started. This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc. So today on the Growth Lab, I'm beyond excited to welcome someone who truly embodies what it means to reinvent yourself and scale to incredible heights. Elizabeth Solaru is not only a multi-award-winning luxury business consultant, she's a best-selling author and a globally recognized cake artist. Yes, you heard this correctly. From microbiology to cakes for royalty, tell me that's not badass. But also the powerhouse founder behind the Diversity in Luxury Awards. Elizabeth's journey is a masterclass in transformation from coaching C-suite execs as a headhunter to dazzling ultra high net worth individuals with even royalty with her breathtaking cake artistry, and to now shaping the luxury industry itself through consulting, speaking, and her game-changing new book, The Luxpreneur. She's been featured on the BBC, Sky TV, graced stages of JP Morgan to Sotheby's, and was just named one of the world's Masterful 100. So beyond all the accolades, she's a fierce advocate for inclusivity, a dedicated mentor, and a visionary entrepreneur with heart. Elizabeth, welcome to the Growth Lab podcast. I'm so excited to unpack your story and all the gems you're going to give the listeners today.
Thank you so much for having me, Luba. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
So tell us where you're located right now.
London, UK, and thankfully we are having a very rare, warm few days of summer.
Oh, wow. How was it cool? Like the weather has been off?
Yeah, the weather's been quite hot for a change, so all of us have been very excited about it.
Well, I love it. Do you have a beach nearby? Is that a correct
No,
question?
I wish.
Where do you go for holiday?
I live in London, so yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I hope you do get to like lay in a sprinkler or something because you need to relax too.
Exactly.
So I wanted to talk a bit about your unique path. You did go from microbiology to headhunting and then becoming a cake artist and now a luxury consultant. This is a very unique and wild path. So what do you think drove you to keep evolving rather than sticking to one thing?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. I've never been really asked that before. I think for me, I would have been content just working in a lab because my aim in life was actually to become a professor of microbiology. So I would have been happy with that. But I think it was just something, I remember one day sitting across somebody in the lab, because usually when you have a lab partner, you work across that person for the next 6 weeks. And that person was having the same conversation every single day. And I thought, no, there's got to be more to my life than being a lab rat. So it was an impulsive decision. I don't advise anyone to do that. I literally just resigned on that Monday.
Wow.
I literally
You
resigned.
feared the boredom. You were like,
Yeah,
this is not for me.
it was just, oh my God, there's got to be more to life than this.
For sure.
And thinking, okay, I need to see if there's anything else out there. And I remember I resigned on a Monday, no other job to go to. And I was walking by the phone on a Thursday, and whoever, when the phone rings, whoever's nearest, you pick up. And it was an agency at the other end saying, would you like to work for us? Now, usually, because you already have a job, we turn them down.
Right.
And so they call on the off chance anyway. And that was how I just said, yes, I will. And that's how I got another temporary agency job. And then I just had another brainwave. How about I register and do an MBA? So I already had a couple of master's degrees. And then I thought, let me just go and do another master,
You're so
another
educated.
master's.
Yeah.
And that started my journey from being in the lab to doing an MBA and then getting a job as a headhunter.
Wow. So and then while you were working as a headhunter, where was that aha moment that you were pivoting again to the next thing?
Okay, so again, I was, headhunting, very stressful, 18-hour days in the city of London. And then I started baking again. I'd always baked as a child when I was about 9. And I joke that in an African household in those times, the oven was used for storage. So nobody else baked in the family. But a friend of mine gave me a cookbook in school. I looked at the cookbook and I figured it out. So I started baking for mothers of my friends. And then my mom just put a stop to it and said, look, just go face your books. So I started baking again as a headhunter. And a lot of my colleagues were like, oh my God, these are good enough for you to become professional. But I didn't pay them any attention. And then 2008, I got made redundant. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing this full time, because while I was headhunting, I was moonlighting as a baker. And in fact, I appeared on a couple of TV shows.
But I can see you. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. It's a glass door.
I know.
She'll cut it.
Yes, moonlighting as a baker. I did a couple of
from home at that point.
From home.
How
so
were you getting orders? Just from
right.
the community?
Yeah, great question. So that actually, because again, I kept it hidden from work. So
Wow.
I was getting that from word of mouth referrals. Also, I was doing a couple of wedding shows. So these wedding exhibitions. So I'll go along. And because I didn't need the money, I was just doing it for the fun of it. I was doing it for fun. And that was how I was getting my orders. And that was where I was spotted by a producer of a TV show. And he said, look, your cakes are incredible. Would you like to, I want to do a TV show. And I was like, but no, I'm not a professional.
You're like,
I'm just doing this for fun. But he convinced me, and I did the TV show, and that was another claim to fame, because it was one where you had to do a couple of challenges. You're pitted against other cake makers, and I won 3 out of 3 challenges, which was, honestly, it was mind-blowing. And that was how I kind of made my name in the cake world. But I was still working as a headhunter.
Oh my gosh. So when did you finally transition? And I believe you said you still do cakes. You have a bake shop.
Yes, I still do. Yeah, I still have a team. We still do. Yeah, we still churn
That's
out cakes.
amazing.
Yeah.
How did you transition then formally from being the headhunter to cakes, then to the luxury market? What was that timeline like?
Okay, so 2008 was made redundant from headhunting because the markets crashed. So I thought, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I became full-time, as it were. But then I realized that I needed more clients. So I remember taking the yellow pages, because as a headhunter, I'd been trained to make 100 cold calls a week, regardless of whatever you had going on. So I started making cold calls, and it so happened that one of the people I called was the office of one of the best wedding planners in the UK, who happened to be the cousin of the late Queen Elizabeth.
Talk about
And
fate. I mean,
talk
talk
about
about fate.
fate. So
You were
that
meant to, yeah.
became, so that was a major door that opened for me there. And a couple of other doors opened as well because, I made calls, I took meetings, I networked my ass off. And then, so I became a cake maker. And I was quite happy doing that until around 2020, when, as we know, the world shut down, nobody was traveling because a lot of my clients normally travel to London. So nobody was traveling. And then I joined Clubhouse, the app Clubhouse. And then I noticed that there weren't a lot of people talking about luxury business. There was a lot of talk about luxury lifestyle or luxury travel, but nobody was talking about the back end of a luxury business. So I was just sharing what I knew, and I had a couple of other people join me in the rooms, and it just grew from there. And that was where the idea of my book actually came from, because I noticed a lot of people were not talking about luxury clients, and a lot of books on luxury or luxury business were from professors of luxury or people who worked in very big brands where there were lots of budgets, but there was nothing from the perspective of a founder like me. And I remember thinking, okay, Louis Vuitton, as a 13-year-old who walked barefoot from his village to Paris, and it took him 2 years, as a 13-year-old, what kind of book would he write? And that was what made me write the Luxpreneur. And that was, in a way, how my luxury consultancy started.
And it sounds like you have some background into the history of these designers, which is funny because people don't, we enjoy the product of today, but nobody looks back at like how it became. And I love that you're skilled and educated in that piece because you can share from the beginning. So I'm very interested to understand if I'm somebody interested in your consulting, what does your ideal client look like? Is there an ideal client? And what are some of the steps that you take to get started with your new client?
That's a fantastic question, because I have my ideal client. They've been running their business successfully, but they are not reaching that target audience that they want to reach. So it could be they want people who pay more money, or it could be they want people who appreciate what they do. So whatever it is, they're looking for the high-end luxury client, and they're not reaching them. So that is my ideal client. And how I work is that I work what I call from the inside out. So there's no point in you saying, I want to reach a luxury client. And I ask you, okay, so what's your ideal client? Like you just asked me, and you say, oh, anybody with money. That's way too generic and that's way too broad. So first of all, I need to know who you are, because in my book, I write about the 9 different types of luxury brand founders. So we spoke briefly about Louis Vuitton. Now, Louis Vuitton is a certain type of founder because his strength was in recognizing what other people were not seeing at the time. Mm-hmm. So when he got to Paris, he became an apprentice to a box maker, as in somebody who made travel trunks. But Louis Vuitton noticed 2 things. He noticed that the trunks had rounded tops, so you can't stack them. He also noticed that they were made out of leather, which obviously will warp if moisture came, onto it. So he created a new type of fabric, and he created a trunk with a flat top. I know it seems obvious, but those are the qualities that I would see if you have. Let me give myself as an example. I'm an artisan and I'm a visionary. That's how I came out as a founder. And those seem like great qualities. But here's a problem. As a visionary, I'm looking at the future and I'm not grounded in the present. And as an artisan, spending all the money creating incredible products without thinking about profit margins or marketing or costs or the rent or the lights or the resources that go into the product. My desire is to create an incredible product. So that is why I always start with a person, the mindset. what kind of what kind of entrepreneur are you, and what kind of mindset do you have? And then I can then say, okay, with the way you are, this type of client will be your ideal client. And in my book, I recognize 8 different types of clients. So it's a matchmaking process that needs to happen for you to find your ideal luxury client.
This is fascinating. And while you were speaking, I started to think about myself too, because I'm a visionary and I'm a manifester. So there's like different other people that need to be with me. I'm not even talking about clients first, from a business side as well. So I feel like people are so uneducated in these very details about themselves that will tell them A, who they need to work with, and B, who they need to invite to come work with them in their business, client-wise. So interesting. Oh my God, I love this. Like, this is why I love having these conversations, because it's basically free therapy for entrepreneurs. And your own journey proves that reinvention isn't just possible, it's necessary for growth.
Really, yeah.
So I want to dig a little deeper into this mindset of yours. Obviously, luxury is an industry that's perceived about perfection, high standards, and intense gatekeeping. What mindset shifts have helped you personally break through barriers and stand out on such an elusive stage? Like, why Luxpreneur? Why Elizabeth?
Okay, again, another brilliant question. And you mentioned 3 things: the exclusivity, the gatekeeping, the perfection, impression, etc. So let's deal with perfection. Your products don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
They just have to be good. And I mean insanely good. They don't necessarily have to be perfect. In fact, in the old days, when when couture was made, along the hemline, some people will see very, very tiny dots of blood. And that is where the expression blood, sweat, and tears actually come from, because those tiny dots of blood is proof that this was handmade by human hands and hours went into stitching this garment. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just have to be that whatever flaws your product has, you can literally turn those into a virtue. So there's a Japanese art of kintsugi, I think it's called, and kintsugi is the art of, if you have cracked crockery, you actually glue it together and you trace those lines with pure gold to enhance and make it look even more beautiful. So the product, number one, hasn't got to be perfect, but it's got to be insanely good. It's got to be of standard. Then the second thing is around that exclusive gatekeeping. Yes, there is exclusive gatekeeping, so you need to use that to your advantage. So many of us, we create a product and the natural instinct is to showcase the product and say, I've created this product, come and buy from me. Now, in luxury terms, what you need to do is say, I've created this incredible product. You give them a bit of a history about the incredible product, and you then say, because I've only got 10 of them, the first 10 people who leave their name, you will be blessed and so fortunate to have the opportunity to maybe buy this product. And if you look at a lot of luxury brands, exactly. So that's what they do.
Oh, but people love that because the exclusivity, right.
Exactly, because people love to have what they can't get easily. They love that. And also another thing I've added into that, I've added the emotional storytelling. I've also added a bit of fortune favors the brave. You need to put your hat in the ring or else you will not be able to get this. So there's exclusivity, there's scarcity, there's emotional storytelling, and there's also a tiny bit of, am I worthy enough to even deserve to put my name down? Am I confident enough to put my name down? So there's all that. So it's a lot more psychological and emotional than it is about the physical product itself.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.
You know what else is so interesting? Because I know a lot of what you work on, and it sounds like it's like a consumer good, more specifically, and maybe not always, maybe it's a location. But even in my business, so I'm the owner of Kidology Inc. And here in the States, these are pediatric early intervention and private care clinics. So we help kiddos with speech, occupational, physical therapy, and ABA needs. And we train our team members on a valuable final product. And often people are like, well, a product is like a thing. No, in our case, the product is the service,
That's
the
right.
therapy, the location, the clinic itself, coming there for the therapy. So I wanted to just touch on that too, because everything you're saying, and on the onset, and I remember when we spoke briefly last week, we had spoken about some product-based things, and I wanted to let others know too, hey, even if you don't have a actual physical product, but you're talking about branding, you're talking about a location, you're talking about a service you're offering, this is your product. And knowing that in business, actually deciphering like what your product is so important when you're starting, especially with a consultant, a luxury consultant, regardless of who. People are misunderstanding what they're even putting out. You don't have to have a store with physical items to have a product. Your product is your brand, your item, whatever it is you're selling, your service. So like ours is not an actual item. You can't hold it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's very important for you to know. Excuse me. I don't know. There's something in the air today.
It sounds like a...
So yeah, that you've actually touched on an incredible point there, because a lot of people think that luxury goods is the luxury, but no, the service surrounding the goods, or even the service itself. If you are a service provider, and for example, there was a company, they do cybersecurity, and they are in the luxury space, but they do cybersecurity for a jewelry industry. So they're even very specific, and even niching down, there's a certain type of jewelry business that they do cybersecurity for. So, and as you can imagine, with cybersecurity people, they love being in the office. They don't like going out. They don't like going out to meet, to talk to people, etc. Even if you're doing that, you can still have and deliver a luxury service. So it's not necessarily just for luxury goods. So that's a very important point that you've just made.
Yeah, for sure. What about you yourself? How did you overcome that internal voice that was like, who am I to do this luxury business, to royalty, global execs? Like, how did you build up your own confidence when stepping out? Maybe there's people out there who have this interest, but they're just not, they don't even know how to present properly themselves or build up that voice to be confident in this. So how did you overcome that?
I think, again, this is just a general thing that I'll just say to people, that even while I was reinventing myself, I knew I wasn't starting from zero. I knew I was bringing something to the table. So to give you an example, one of the hardest was going from scientist to headhunter, right? And I was recruiting executives who were running multi-million pound businesses and industry, and I was interviewing them. So I had to have that mindset shift, number one. And number two, I then recognized that I was bringing something to the table that my colleagues who were trained headhunters right from the beginning were probably not bringing. So even networking, for example, because I didn't go to school with these executives, but a lot of my colleagues probably went to school with them. They belonged to the same exclusive clubs. I didn't. So the one thing I did was realize that even if I can't network on a face-to-face basis, I can network online. So I remember literally seeing I read a Forbes article about executive CEOs having blogs. This was the 2000s, by the way, so you can imagine blogs were new.
It was like,
It was like,
that was the start of social media.
Yeah, so
Blogs.
I just did a Google of CEO blogs, and that was how I was networking with CEOs. That was when I realized that the best time to email a CEO is Sunday afternoon after lunch, right? Because during the week, they're all busy, surrounded. Sunday afternoon, they're at home, maybe, a bit bored with, family or whatever, I don't know. They're bored, they're checking their emails themselves. So I realized, so I had a window. Also, I knew what time people publish their blogs. If it's every Saturday, if it's every Friday, whatever, it comes at and consistently, I would go leave comments. And that was how I was able to get meetings and appointments, etc. So human psychology is always human psychology. So the confidence comes from experimenting, from testing things out, and from knowing that even if you dream it, if you're dreaming of something, you deserve to be in that room. If you're thinking about it, you deserve to be in that room. People talk about imposter syndrome. Some people never have it. Some people have it. But I would say it doesn't matter. Even if you're very fearful on the inside, you don't have to have confidence to just go for it, right? You can be fearful and still go for it. Because, you can hold on to that fear and let it paralyze you. Or you can say to yourself, I'm going to be moving regardless. And that's what I did. And also there's something around survival, because I knew I had left behind a career, which was a perfectly respectable career as a scientist, moving forward. So I knew I had to make it work. So same thing, when I got into the luxury industry, it was the people's reactions to my cakes that made me realize how worthy they were and the value that I was bringing. Because when people compliment you and they're saying the same thing over and over again, you need to hold on to that. So another trick I tell people to do is look at all the testimonials that you've ever received or things people have said to you and circle the common words. So if people are saying the same thing over and over again about you, you need to hold, that is how they see you, and that is where your value lies. So those are some of the things that gave me the confidence to keep going.
I literally have goosebumps because I hope everyone that's listening let all of what you just said sink in. Those were some $1 million pieces of advice. And I mean, you went into a couple of different things there, but it's very, very important for people to understand that there's so many different pieces that can create your transition, beating this mindset shifting of yourself. And while I listen, obviously I'm always comparing it to things that I do. And I definitely feel like hearing you say from the beginning that you would pick up the phone to market your cake, so you would do that. And when people come to me and they're like, well, how did you scale your business? How did you go, to become a multi-7-figure owner? How? Because I also didn't waste time. I wasn't afraid to pick up the phone. I wasn't afraid to get a no. I took the extra steps, and these are invaluable things. The fear of someone within will so many times create that wall and barrier, and they just have to get past that. If you aren't afraid of what's on the other side, even if you get those no's, it builds your character to get to where you're going. And I personally, I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. Invaluable advice. Your book, The Luxpreneur, is called The Blueprint for Building a Luxury Brand. What's one piece of that blueprint that any entrepreneur listening, luxury or not, will need to hear today?
Oh, I think it always starts with you. It starts with knowing who you are as a founder, because that's the basis for everything. So if you know who you are as a founder, that is half the battle. However, you can't go into battle with the wrong equipment. I look at it as we all have our unique strengths. So you don't borrow somebody else's equipment to go into battle, to go into business. You need to bring your full self into the business, is what I say. And that includes your faults. We all have them. And many people like to talk about their strengths and but you need to look at your faults as well. And another key thing is to start looking at your business from your client's perspective. So I talk about the 8 different types of luxury founder. There are particular luxury business client types that are not my ideal client. So I wouldn't then try to force them to buy from me, if that makes sense. So you need to know, okay, these are my ideal clients, and whatever you do, you need to get to know them intimately. You need to know their psychology. I give an example of the way luxury demographic operates. So if you take the example of King Charles, our king in England, and Ozzy Osbourne, right? So according to demographics, they're both white males, they're both of the same age, they've both been divorced and married twice, and they both live in castles. But as luxury clients, they are completely different, and you will not sell to them the same. Because King Charles, for example, as one of the archetypes in my book, he is looking for security, safety, comfort. Ozzy Osbourne, on the other hand, he is looking at innovation, what's new, what's exciting. And they both have their pros and cons. So with somebody like King Charles, getting to him, it will take you many layers. There'll be many gatekeepers, both literal and psychological gatekeepers and whatever gatekeepers. And Ozzy, on the other hand, he might be easier to reach, but how they operate in their spaces are completely different. So you need to be aware of those things before you even start to try and sell anything that you are selling.
That's more invaluable. I mean, that's crazy. You're right. Like, they're on paper, they're the same, but they're so different. So you have to know. So from working with billionaires to running your own multidimensional business, what have you learned about value creation and pricing out your worth?
Right. Okay. So it took me a while, because when it comes to pricing, there are 7 different types of pricing. I tried them all and they all failed.
So you have packages offered when people
and there was one that worked for me, and that was the value-based pricing. So I price according to the value it's given the client and not the cost of material, because remember, with cakes, it's eggs, butter, sugar, flour, milk, flavoring, etc. So you can't price based on cost, or
I see.
Even based on labor. You've got to price based on value, and it's got to be the right client who recognizes that value. So I had to deal with that issue and get over that. The moment where people are, I gasp and like, oh my God, so you have to get over that. And then another thing is, you've also got to recognize in your space if there is any competition. So, for example, when we look at a luxury brand, so for example, Hermes can sell a 5-figure handbag, a 6-figure handbag, £1 million handbag, or whatever. But I talk about the 3 different levels of pricing when it comes to a luxury brand. So at the very bottom, you have your lipsticks, your perfumes. So if you save up for a week or a month, you're able to buy that. Then the next level of pricing is off the peg, clothing, shoes, maybe some handbags, wallets, etc., belts, whatever. If you save up for a year, you might be able to buy that. And then at the top level, you've got couture. So couture, maybe sell a kidney or whatever. You might be able to, afford it. Sell yourself, whatever. You can afford a couture gown. But here's a trick. It's the items at the very bottom that drives the items at the very top. However, the marketing, the promotion, etc. of the items at the bottom is actually on par with how the items at the top are promoted, except of course maybe there's a catwalk or something. But if you look at the photography, the imagery, the adverts, etc. for the lipsticks, the perfumes, they use celebrities, they use beautiful, flawless looking models to promote those products. So they're spending a great deal of money to promote the products at the bottom as well as the products at the top. So there's that brand consistency. And that is what many luxury business owners need to understand. So whether you're selling your least item or your most expensive item, the service level, the promotion, everything has got to be the same. Exactly.
Wow, that's really interesting. How many people do you have working with you in your business?
It depends. So in my cake business, I've got 4 ladies. We've worked together for years. And in the consultancy business, it's mainly me. But I do have a couple of people. I know I've obviously got an executive assistant and a couple of other people and other consultants.
You just haven't figured out how to clone yourself yet to get on the
Exactly.
with you,
It's,
because
it's
that's
a big,
when you're gonna.
yeah, it's a big piece of work, and also there's some value in people knowing that they're getting me, because I say to people, the very front end, the don't just go there for the pitch. You need to be there for delivery as well. Even as a headhunter, people will buy your specific skill. So if you're very skilled at recruiting finance directors, that's what they're buying. So they need to see you front and center, and they need to see you at the very end when the appointment is made. So that's a model that I've always adopted when it comes to my consultancy business.
Boy, does that resonate with me. I hear you loud and clear. So you're super passionate about mentorship and the next generation. Yes. Why is that so important to you, and how do you see the future of luxury evolving to be more inclusive?
That is honestly, it's one of the things that I am totally sold on, because the luxury businesses of the future, I believe, are being created now by people outside of the industry with different thinking, different ideas, and different thought processes to what's happening right now. Yes, there is a place in luxury for heritage and tradition. I've always said that, because we can't throw all that out. There is a reason why.
There wouldn't be a brand without that, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
There's a reason why luxury has survived hundreds of years. But going forward in the future, we need innovation. We need people who think differently. And I find that comes from people who are outside of that industry. And it's one of the reasons why, for example, we, the diversity in luxury, we gave away a prize to the best marketing student at a luxury business school. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that we do. We actively encourage people to come forward with ideas, with new thinking, because the last few years have also shown that it's very easy for people to fall out of love with luxury. So China not buying as many luxury goods, it really affected the industry. A lot of people being jaded, the Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, actually saying now, we are the ones who are dictating how we will consume our luxury. In my generation, luxury brands told us the rules, these are the rules, this is what you need to do to consume our luxury. Now, Gen Zs and Alphas and Millennials are saying, you know what, we want to consume luxury our way. So that is why it's important to encourage diverse voices and new thinking within the luxury space.
I was out to dinner last night with my cousin, and we were chatting. Her daughter's 12, and she is on spring break and makes a little bit of money in the mother's business. And she's telling me how she was calling her because she wanted her to look over her cosmetic list, that she gets different makeup and stuff and wants to make sure that everything she got was age appropriate and safe. Yeah. So later on, she was like, well, I wanted to get the YSL mascara. And she's like, what YSL mascara? You're 12 years old. The first time I got a YSL mascara, I was 20 something years old. The times are changing. Yeah. Kids, she's a 12-year-old kid today, are more interested and invested. They see it. They're on them social media. They do little makeup skits and routines, and it's crazy because for us, we're like, what are you talking about? This is a luxury product that costs $30, and for a 12-year-old, but this is the future of what's happening. They're pruning them young for the luxury market, and it's pretty cool because they see the difference too. Maybelline, YSL,
But
does the same thing. It does the same thing.
I know we say that, but may I also say though that it's not unusual for a 14-year-old to have made quite a lot of money just by being online. So they're not waiting to do that degree. They're
How
not
are they
waiting
making
to
the money though?
by being online. So if you are able to get, because what they're doing is, I mean, I think it's very clever of them to recognize that if they're able to build an audience of thousands and thousands who look at their videos, and if it's because that is a marketeer's dream, being able to get the ideal client at that age, other 12-year-olds, other 13-year-olds who actually also love luxury. If you can get thousands of views on your one video, why shouldn't you be paid for it?
Oh yeah.
So if they're making money, if they're able to make money while they're doing that in bed, right? That is an education in itself. That to me, I'm talking, this is a future entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And if she's already working in her mum's business, making a little bit of money, she's already putting a dollar amount on her labor. So, and she's already thinking, okay, I need to open a pension account. I need to do maybe a Roth IRA or whatever.
Well, that's where the financial education comes in. That's a whole
Comes
different
in.
topic.
So-
But seriously,
Yeah, they're getting that at a very young age. And so
younger.
why wouldn't she then in turn say, if I've made a couple of $100 over then I might be able to buy a $30 YSL mascara.
Yeah, I know. No, it's really incredible that generationally they're just a lot faster in those ways because of the things they're seeing and the pace of the world, the life that we're living. So that's why I wanted to tell you, because I'm like, it's perfect little transition for you to hear this. I was cracking up with her. So let's switch gears a little bit, Elizabeth, from luxury strategy to a little luxury fun. I want to get inside Elizabeth's head, lightning round style. So here's a little rapid fire closer for you today. What's a luxury that you personally can't live without?
Sleep.
Oh, girl. Yes. I love to sleep as well.
Sleep.
Do you have like luxurious bedding? Tell us.
Yes, I do love, because my mother absolutely adored Irish linen. So I love linen that, of thick quality. I'm not bothered whether it's Egyptian cotton or whatever.
Yeah.
I just love the quality. So I love fret linen. I can't afford it, but I love fret linen. But I do love nice linen. And in fact, I've always said my one luxury, if I win the lottery, is that I want my linen changed every day. That's
I love that.
That'll be my one luxury.
Fresh, cool, yes. Yeah. Okay. Who's your biggest inspiration in life right now?
That changes, but it's always been, I'm going to be greedy, two women, and Martha Stewart.
I literally am obsessed with Oprah, and I used to, as a child, tell people, see, I'm Luba. I would be like, I'm like Oprah, just add an H to the end of my name. Literally. Did you watch Martha's documentary? If you out there have not, it is a must.
It's honestly
so good.
That woman, she's always been a baddie. In the words of Gen Z, she's always been a baddie. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've totally good, amazing people to be inspired by. And how about, can you finish this sentence? Success feels like.
Success feels like rising together.
Okay.
Yeah. When we rise together, I love that because I'm about community. So yeah.
I'm totally with you. So good. So Elizabeth, it was such a gift to meet you, talk to you, learn more about you today. And I feel like we all got, honestly, a masterclass in boldness and creativity and standing tall in your power. Everybody out there, I hope this made you grow. But no matter what industry that people are in, I think this was super valuable. And thanks for being so generous with your wisdom and showing us that luxury isn't just about things, but it's about how you think and who you are, your mindset. Elizabeth, before we go, can you please let people know where they can reach you, what your social media or website is?
You can find me, Elizabeth Solaru, on LinkedIn. That is where my home is for now. That's the one social media platform I adore. You can find my book on Amazon, amazon.com or amazon.co.uk. And it's called The Luxpreneur, spelled as it sounds. And you can also find me on Instagram if you want to have a look at beautiful cakes. It's Elizabeth's Cake Emporium. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
So, and to everyone tuning in, keep chasing the next level, keep pivoting fearlessly, and remember, success doesn't have to look a specific way. It looks like you daring to grow. So I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Growth Lab. I hope you enjoyed. Give us a like, comment, follow. Thank you again so much. This was the Momtrepreneur meets the Luxpreneur, and it was truly amazing. I've had a great time chatting with you. Tune in again next time.
Thank you. Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.